Now at 4:30, communities all around the nation and here in Connecticut continue to mourn the deadly school shooting that happened in Texas.
And a tragedy like this, obviously especially tough for teachers and staff working in schools every day. The Connecticut Federation of School Administrators is addressing the attack, saying, quote, "We wish the families will have the time to deal with their personal loss and the resources to support them in whatever they need. Their healing journey will last a lifetime, a marathon versus a race. It is important for them to know that we support them now and will be there to support them in the future."
Joining us this afternoon is Dr. Anthony Salvatore, the co-president of the CFSA, who actually worked at Sandy Hook as the assistant principal the school year before the shooting there at Sandy Hook. Sir, we know you weren't there when the shooting happened, but you obviously knew a lot of people, right, including the principal who you were close with?
Yes, matter of fact, I met Dawn in 1999 when I first became an administrator. She was my mentor, and then we connected back when she was hired around 2010, and then actually got to work with her the year before the shooting.
For all of us, really, the hearing about what is going on in Texas is just, it's inconceivable and it's hard to process. And I can only imagine for those from Sandy Hook who this really hits close to home, what was your reaction when you just heard about the awful carnage in Uvalde?
It was like a switch flipped in my head, brought me right back to that morning when we got the call, went into lockdown, and then the subsequent days after that. Anxiety, breathlessness. Yeah, I think someone described it, it's like having the wind sucked out of your chest. All comes rushing right back.
I know we had you last night on Eyewitness News at 11. We talked with you as well, and you had pointed out something that really struck the two of us about even hearing a child, cry in a restaurant, things like that being almost a trigger at this point.
Absolutely. Even things, I was at a meeting this morning of about 160 retired teachers, and I had to think twice before I could enter the room because large crowds bring back the day when kids came into the middle school to pick up their children, and many of them had children at Sandy Hook. Some who were killed, some were not, and having kind of the crush of parents all of a sudden in the foyer kind of brings back, and in any kind of a crowded room, even now. Not as bad, but still I get that impression that I need to get out as soon as possible. Besides checking where all the exit doors are and so forth before I even enter.
On social media, we have heard from so many teachers just saying they are struggling right now and they are trying to be brave for the students in the wake of this. What can we do to support those working in schools right now?
Be kind to them, and not just, and this is the entire building, your paraeducators, your secretaries, the custodians, cafeteria workers, anyone who work, volunteer parents. Be kind. Teachers, administrators, don't wake up in the morning to cause harm to any student. Everybody's kind of on edge. The pandemic kind of magnified that. We need to listen to each other, and that's really the biggest. One of the big learnings we walked away with was, we have two ears and one mouth for a reason. It's more important to listen to others instead of just talking to others, and that's a big piece. Especially someone who's gone through trauma or traumatic experience, they need an outlet to tell their stories to someone. You don't have to have the answers. You just need to be a good listener.
And if you're struggling, talk with people, right? I mean, it is okay to open up and to share your feelings with other people.
It is very, yes, absolutely. That's a critical piece, and to do it with ideally trauma-trained social workers, counselors, therapists, to help you to ask the right questions and use the proper tools to get you to get through the trauma and to kind of peel back the layers, because trauma kind of lies in the part of the brain that's more in the survival part and not in the language part. So it's not something that you can approach through words. It's hard to describe. It's connected to the sensory part of the brain, which is why you get memories and, something you see, something you hear, you taste, it causes everything to come rushing right back. So a lot of techniques out there that employ sensory techniques like art programs, music, things like that.
Well, we can only imagine how difficult it is for you to be talking with us today, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate it to gain your insight and learn about ways we can help others cope with this tragedy. Dr. Anthony Salvatore, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. You're brave.
Thank you for having me.